Paul Barnes, and I am the director of Arkansas Repertory Theater's production of The Crucible.
And I'm Jess Shoemaker, and I am assisting Paul on this production.
It's a play by the great American playwright Arthur Miller, who was part of the whole period of, great American playwriting in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and into the 60s. So it's sort of at the center of American theater in the mid-century. But his play is based on the Salem Witch Trials of 1692, but also spurred, I think, out of his experiences with the Red Scare in the 40s and 50s that led to the House Un-American Activities Committee and the accusations of people being communists and the movement to have people name names and implicate other people as communists, which led to the jailing of many people, the blacklisting of many people. So out of some pretty factual-based playwriting, I think there's a kind of parable or allegory, not just for the 50s, but for current times as well, and for all times. It's a chapter in American history and a chapter in the establishment of the colonies and the growth of the colonies. It's pre-Revolutionary War. It's interesting because so many high schools I know teach this play, or they certainly did when I was a high school theater teacher and when I went to high school. This play was part of the curriculum.
The Salem Witch Trials, historians and Arthur Miller acknowledged that that is one period of history that has a clear beginning, middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. So if you study the Salem Witch Trials, you can study a little bit of what led into it, but then it ends. So it isn't dovetailing into other topics, which is also what makes it such a convenient and excellent piece of theater, because it really does have very clear delineations in that dramaturgical storyline. And there's a lot of shame following the trials, which was something that interested me. Miller talks about it, and several of the historians talk about going to Salem to do the research and ask questions, and 300 years later, it was still something no one wanted to discuss. It's this very dark period of history that we don't necessarily enjoy looking at.
Well, yeah, and if you relate it to the communist witch hunts in this country in the 50s, those lasted much longer, and the reverberations, echoed out and out and out and out. It's fascinating that even though the Salem trials, it's a very finite and rather limited chapter in our history, other similar events have lasted much longer. We seem not to have, learned the lesson.
I think to me that's the most moving part of just studying all of the elements of it is Miller talks about he didn't expect his play to resonate so much longer, but because he did such an astute job of understanding what had happened in Salem and what had happened during the Red Scare, he actually tapped into the way that we behave as humans in the face of the unfamiliar and in the face of fear.
And the other.
Yeah, and he says it's amazing, but he sees the play being done in other countries in completely different historical context, and it resonates because what he tapped into was essentially human.
And it's an important American play that I think people should know if they don't, or revisit if they do, especially because I think it has reverberations for our own time.